fire's warmth wrapped you like an old friend as you stretched out on the couch, toes tucked beneath you, the wine's last sip a comforting hum in your chest. Outside, the woods stood in silent reverence, thick and still beneath the black sky. Moonlight speckled the trees with silver, but where it ended, where shadows thickened like old blood, something else waited. You hadn't noticed it yet, but it had noticed you. The cabin's rustic charm could have been a painting. The fire's glow perfect against the rough-hewn beams and weathered furniture. The kind of place where nothing bad should happen. And yet, some places are chosen by darkness simply because they seem too pure. Outside, it moved closer, carefully, patiently. The faintest touch of talons whispered across the window, a sound so soft you couldn't distinguish it from a breeze if there had been one. The fire snapped louder. You jumped, laughing softly at your own nerves. Alone in a cabin, every sound stretched itself too thin until it became strange. You glanced at the window, at the woods beyond, saw only your reflection haloed by firelight. But it wasn't your reflection anymore. You blinked, heart slowing as you stared. A trick of the light, you thought. But tricks don't breathe. There was something behind your face in the glass. Something hungry. Its shape, a grin wide enough to break bone, vanished the moment your mind registered it. You stood, heart thudding like a fist against your rib cage. The glass of wine slipped slightly in your grasp but didn't fall. Your breath came shallow and fast as you leaned toward the window, peering into the forest's depths, almost willing something to move so you could call it a bear, a branch, anything other than the shadow you'd seen. Nothing moved. The forest held its breath, and you felt ridiculous. You let out a dry laugh and ran a hand through your hair, telling yourself you'd been reading too many horror novels. Dean Koontz had his hooks in your brain again. Then came the knock. Not loud, worse than loud. It was delicate, thoughtful, and close. Your heart clenched as a cold wind seemed to slide under the doorframe. Your pulse quickened. And then, you heard the voice. A soft, low murmur, too quiet to understand, but clear enough to feel like it was speaking to you. You backed away, and the voice followed. The window now seemed less like a barrier and more like a thin veil. Something wanted through. You grabbed your phone, but there was no signal. Not even a flicker of bars. Your fight-or-flight response chose poorly. You went for the front door. The instant your hand touched the knob, a crash echoed behind you as the window shattered inward, shards catching the firelight as something dragged itself inside. It was bigger than you'd thought. Its limbs elongated in ways that made your mind stutter and rebel. Its grin wasn't just wide, it was eternal, too large for its face. It whispered your name, and you didn't know how it knew it. You didn't want to know. You flung open the door and sprinted into the night. The forest closed around you in seconds, branches tearing at your sleeves. You thought you'd hear it chasing, but it didn't need to run. It didn't need to hurry. It had patience honed over centuries. You stumbled, heart hammering in your throat, looking back only once, and that was the mistake. In the shadows, you saw it waiting, grinning. The same way the cabin would wait tomorrow morning when someone found the empty couch, the shattered glass, and a cold fireplace. But they wouldn't find you. The woods never give back what they take.